Declining admission rates at top colleges. Or, well, I'm about to type some BS about the first blog entry I read. This is April 9, 2010. The professor was Dr. Jim Wollscheid, or how to pronounce his name. The course is Economics 2803, Principles of Macroeconomics. The assignment to read a blog by textbook author Greg Mankiw. His blog is gregmankiw.blogspot.com. In his most recent blog entry, as of midnight the night before the paper is due, Dr. Mankiw extolled the virtues of the relative value of freshman admissions to some of our country's top colleges on the basis of their rejection rates. And just like the last paper, I have to agree and disagree, both at the same time. The admission rates can be viewed in the same way as the money supply in the economy. Just as we have discussed, it seems fairly intuitive that when the government decides to print money and distribute more money, the relative value of that government's currency is affected in an inversely proportional manner. Using slightly non-technical verbiage, we can see that when the money supply increases, the value decreases. Applying this economic theory to the acceptance rates of top colleges, it is thought that by keeping the acceptance rate low as a percentage of the applications received, the relative value in terms of the ascribed status or eliteness of the graduates increases. At the same time, with a school that accepts a preponderance of students who apply, such as University of Arkansas Fort Smith, the relative value of the education decreases. But let's look a little bit closer. Now, I can agree that a top-tier institution like Harvard or Yale can increase its perceived reputation and status by calculating the number of highly qualified applications that it has to reject. It should also be noted that these schools may in fact wish to accept more applicants than they already do, but the facility simply lacks the physical capacity to house all the highly qualified students that would desire to attend such a wonderful school. However, we need to examine a much more frightening reality. While schools like Harvard have a very short list of actually accepted students, it also has a waiting list a mile long, and a large portion of students on this waiting list will, in fact, end up matriculating when it comes to actually start class sessions. Ergo, the acceptance list is manipulated to provide an appearance of eliteness, whereas the actual size of the student body does not change. Harvard decreases its acceptance rates and increased its reputation among top schools, even though the size of its freshman class has not actually changed proportionately compared to recent years. Now, let's look at a state university such as UAA Fort Smith. At an institution such as ours, the faculty is not concerned with the elite reputation compared to other schools. They care about the number of students that are actually educating on the size of enrollment. A higher number of enrolled students means that they appear to have a larger, more positive impact on the local community. This is important as it appeases the businessmen and agencies who donate money to help provide this education. Again, let's take a closer look. I believe that UAFS, or any other school that boasts high enrollment, leaves out a great deal of pertinent information. They did not tell us how many enrolled students are full-time students or only part-time students who are not pursuing a degree plan. Note, I am not disparaging full-time workers who either have neither the time nor financial resources to be full-time students. There is nothing wrong with only taking one course at a time. It also does not consider the high proportion of enrolled students who eventually withdraw from the course prior to completion or who are dropped from the rolls due to poor attendance. If I had my druthers, what a delightful non-word. If I had my druthers, I would scrap both types of enrollment statistics. In reality, the relative application acceptance and enrollment rates have absolutely no impact at all on the quality of the education received. I propose an entirely different system. Instead of looking at enrollment or application/acceptance ratios, I would like to see a new system of evaluation. I would like to know how many students successfully completed their enrolled courses and how many total number of college hours of credit were completed. Note that this is a much closer look at completion rates versus the withdrawal dropout rates to determine the actual quality of education received. For example, in the old system, if a class had 20 enrollees one semester and 25 enrollees the next, the university stated that enrollment increases. But I would examine the same classroom and state that if 18 students passed the course one semester and only 15 passed the second time, the class had a lower completion rate and the value of the education on that course decreased. At the same time, they would look at overall enrollment. If a university has an enrollment of 5,500 students one semester, and let's pull a number completely out of my butt, 6,835 the next, they had record enrollment for the semester. But wait for it. There it is. Whoop! It's the BS flag. How many of these were full-time students? How many were part-time? How many were non-trads? How many were distant learning or online course students? But the operative question will still be how many students actually completed their enrolled courses. How many dropped out? Which courses had the highest success rates in terms of passing grades and enrollment versus completion ratios? Which courses had a higher proportion of part-time students versus full-time students? This would indicate courses seen to improve specific employment skills needed in the local communities. Let's go even further. How about we cross-reference these statistics with information from the VA representatives? How many Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom veterans are currently attending the University of Arkansas Fort Smith? I'm going to purposely exclude any service members who are never actually deployed to combat zones. Are these individuals full-time or part-time students? What courses are they taking? What kind of essays are they writing in class? What degree plans are they pursuing? Are this generation's war veterans going to become our new teachers, police officers, firefighters, business leaders, politicians? How are these individuals utilizing such highly negative life experiences to effect a positive and lasting impact on society around them? This is a type of information that we ought to be examining. The bottom line is that in order to properly gauge success of our university's educational processes, it is much more realistic to look at dropout rates than enrollment rates. It is time to stop deluding ourselves and take a hard-hitting look at the type of impact the university is having. After all, if our students are not receiving an education, then what's the point?